the 1st of December, 1942. They neglected to mention she would be late. It has now been over 2 hours, and the snow continues to fall with an irritating sort of gentleness, layering itself over the platform, softening the world into silence. Slughorn had given me only the vaguest instruction. Collect her from Hogsmeade Station. No carriage, no escort, no clear explanation. Just a name and a time. I kept replying his words in my mind.
Miss Sophie Whitmore, do be civil, won't you, Tom? She's had a rather unconventional upbringing.
I do not make a habit of collecting strays, and yet here I am, standing alone on a deserted platform, charming frost from the leather of my shoes for the 5th time. I have better things to do, important things, necessary things. But Slughorn had asked, and when Slughorn asks, one listens. For now. The train finally arrives just before noon, a low whistle cutting across the valley, steam billowing upwards like the breath of something ancient. It groans into the station with weary resolve, wheels screeching against the frozen track. The doors open, no crowd, no trunks tumbling down. Just one figure, and then I see her, and immediately I detest the sight of her. She steps down with a grace that borders on studied, not uncertain, but deliberate, as though she knows how she ought to be perceived and intends to fulfill that expectation. She is dressed neatly, too neatly for someone meant to be an orphan. A black trench coat fitted at the waist, a wool jumper beneath it, soft in texture but not extravagant, a modest plaid skirt that brushes just below the knee, sensible black boots, not new. She wears no hat, though snow has settled gently in her hair. Long, dark chestnut, the ends curled just so. A sharp fringe frames her face with near-surgical precision. Her complexion is pale but not ill. Her eyes are dark green, not soft, not warm. Verdant and deep and unreadable. She carries only a small leather suitcase in one hand and a modest owl cage in the other. Inside, a snowy owl, watching the station as though thoroughly unimpressed. A mudblood, I conclude at once. Of course she is, and Slughorn has placed her in Slytherin. It is an affront. To tradition, to blood, to sense. My stomach coils, first in irritation, then something far more unwelcome, because I am still looking at her. She doesn't see me straight away. Her eyes are fixed on the castle in the distance, not with awe, as the first years always display, but with something quieter, as though the place has called her back after some long absence. She is not smiling, nor is she afraid. When she does at last look toward me, there is no surprise in her gaze. She observes me the same way she regarded the castle, as if I had already been there, waiting. Something beneath my ribs draws tight. No, this is irrelevant. She is irrelevant. She is an error, a blemish, a charity case of Slughorn's, indulged by sentiment and given far more attention than she merits. And yet, I find my feet already moving toward her, before I have given them permission. My feet move of their own accord. I resent it. This inclination to approach rather than dismiss is neither rational nor welcome. She remains silent, still, and yet her gaze holds, not with challenge, but with quiet, deliberate weight. She does not know who I am. That much is obvious. But what unnerves me more is this. She does not care. It is not arrogance. It is not ignorance. It is something quieter, something I cannot yet name. Girls like this do not shout as they unravel things. They do it wordlessly, softly, like moths in the dark. And so, I do what I have always done. I gather the mask, speak first, and ensure that control belongs to me. You are late. There is no warmth in the words, only clarity. She lifts her brows slightly, though not in alarm, merely acknowledgement.
The train was delayed.
Her voice is warmer than expected, smooth, steady, perhaps a shade softer than it ought to be. She speaks properly, well-bred or well-practiced, I cannot yet tell. I presume you must be Miss Whitmore. Professor Slughorn sent me to collect you. I have been instructed to see you to the castle. At this, she hesitates, and then, with a slight tilt of her head, almost puzzled.
Oh, I was told Horace would meet me himself.
There is something undeniably warm in the way she says it. Not coy, not insolent, just sincerely surprised. Familiar even. Horace. The name sits strangely in the air. I regard her more closely. No one calls Professor Slughorn Horace, not students, certainly not new ones. The use of his given name is so casual, so unguarded, it borders on absurd. And yet she says it without flourish, as though it's entirely natural. You were told incorrectly. Slughorn is occupied. A beat of silence passed. Then, she straightened her posture slightly, not as a defense, but as one might do before stepping through a doorway they cannot see the other side of.
I see. And who are you then?
She said it not as a challenge, rather an honest question she would simply like to know. Tom Riddle, 5th year prefect, Slytherin.
Sophie Whitmore, 5th year, and evidently your burden for the afternoon.
I do not react, but something in the cadence of her tone unnerves me. No hesitation, no apology, just quiet understanding, a self-possession that I do not yet know how to unmake. Without a word, I removed the suitcase from her grasp and turned. Come along then. The snow softened our footsteps to silence. We walked without speaking, not out of discomfort, but mutual preference. I had nothing to say, and she did not seem inclined to fill the quiet. I could feel her beside me, not looming, not lingering, simply there, composed, as though she belonged to the landscape, as though she had always walked beside someone and had no intention of tripping over their silence. She did not ask about the castle, did not marvel at the snow, did not question why a fifth year was being summoned to Hogwarts in the middle of term. That should have pleased me. It didn't. We followed the winding path uphill, the turrets of the castle rising beyond the trees, blurred faintly by snowfall. Just before the path curved round the lake, a flicker of movement caught my eye at the tree line. Thestrals. They stood half in shadow, bony, skeletal creatures, barely more than flesh stretched over bone. Their great bat-like wings twitched in the snow. I didn't stop, but she did, only for a moment.
Some say they're bad omens. I think they're misunderstood.
I turned my head, just slightly. She was watching the creatures with an expression I could not name. Not fondness, not fear, recognition perhaps. I did not respond, but inwardly, I understood. Only those who have seen death may perceive Thestrals. The rest see nothing at all, which meant she had seen it. Death. And yet. She's a Muggle-born. No prior magical education, no formal introduction to the magical world, or so Slughorn claimed. She is not what she appears to be. We continued walking. The castle loomed larger ahead, the snow tapering into finer flakes. My mind had begun working more sharply now, the way it always does when something doesn't fit. There is a method I rely on in such moments. It is not taught at Hogwarts, nor is it spoken of in textbooks, but it runs in my blood, like language. Legilimency. It is not reading minds, not precisely. It is the art of slipping between thoughts, of opening doors that others keep locked. It reveals memory, image, impulse, the truth beneath what is spoken. It is a rare gift, an ancient one. Like Parseltongue, it runs in the line of Salazar Slytherin, and therefore, in me. I turned my head toward her slightly. She did not look at me. I narrowed my focus. Reached forward, not with hands, but with thought, and found nothing. Just a void, a blank surface, smooth and unreachable, as if the corridors of her mind had been swept clean, or burned, or obliterated. Obliviate. The spell came to mind unbidden. Someone has erased her, not merely hidden something, not shielded a memory, erased. My stomach knotted, low and slow, not in fear, in recognition. Something about her had been taken, and whoever had done it had known precisely what they were doing. The air around us had grown colder, but I scarcely felt it. The real chill was internal, precise, creeping. A single, uninvited thought had begun threading itself into the quiet recesses of my mind, and I could not sever it. Who erased her, and why do I care? She is no one. A mudblood, brought here under sentiment, dressed in borrowed refinement and passed off as something worthy. And yet, there is something missing from her, not just hidden, taken. The vacancy behind her eyes is not the product of idiocy or innocence. It is surgical, intentional. Someone has made her forget. I should not want to know more. I should not want anything from her at all. And yet I do. It is not desire. It is not softness. It is interruption. The gates had come into view, looming tall and iron black against the snow. And there, as though plucked from a painting of absurdity, stood the source of all this. Slughorn. Beaming, teetering, positively marinated in the scent of brandy, fire whiskey, and what could only be crystallized pineapple. His voice came as a strangled cry, arms wide, cheeks flushed, tie askew.
Tommy boy, there you are.
I froze. Sophie beside me did the same, her shoulders going still, her expression shifting just slightly. Paleness bled into her complexion as though her soul had made a quiet attempt to leave the premises. Slughorn staggered forward, nearly tripping on his own robes.
And Miss Whitmore, how delightful. Didn't expect you till tomorrow. Or was it today?
He blinked, peering into the falling snow.
Is it the first already?
He turned to me, conspiratorially.
Lost track of time, I'm afraid. Last night's dinner ran long, no brandied pears, and a flaming rum trifle. Marvelous little thing.
I did not respond. He looked between us, still smiling.
Right, well, small hiccup. Seems I may have forgotten to tell the elves to prepare Miss Whitmore's private chamber. Won't be ready till morning.
He gestured vaguely toward the castle, swaying just enough to make the gesture feel like a performance.
But not to worry. You've your own room, haven't you, Tom?
I do.
Perfect. She'll stay with you tonight.
Silence. It was so immediate and complete that I felt it crack through the snowfall like lightning. Sophie said nothing. She didn't need to. Inside me, something twisted sharply, not just at the sheer idiocy of the arrangement, but at the indecency, the presumption. I am many things, but I have always held to certain principles, even with her. Sir, I do not believe this arrangement is in keeping with Hogwarts policy, nor with basic propriety. Slughorn waved a hand.
Don't be so stiff, Tom. She's under my guardianship now, completely above board.
Even so, I find it difficult to imagine Headmaster Dippet would approve of such a situation.
Ah, Dippet. Poor man's practically asleep on his feet. He won't mind. No need to fuss over formality. Just one night.
One night. One night with a stranger, a girl, a mudblood no less. I clenched my jaw, slowly. He thinks this is harmless, a joke, a lark. He is playing matchmaker. That much is obvious. And yet what unsettles me more is that he does not know what he is placing in my path. Very well. One night.
Splendid.
Sophie did not speak. She hadn't moved, hadn't protested, but I could feel something off her. Not fear precisely, but distance. She is retreating behind her eyes. I recognize it. I do it myself. Slughorn staggered back toward the castle, humming now, off-key, grinning like he'd solved some great riddle, and I remained at the gate, holding her suitcase in one hand. A girl I do not know, with no history worth repeating, and a silence far too deliberate to be innocent. She does not matter, and yet she will not leave my mind. One night, and then I shall know who she is.